Make sure to hit that subscribe button to catch more real stories like this one. I'm Bridget Cole, 35 years old, a marketing manager in Lincoln, Nebraska. My life is something I've built entirely on my own. That morning, during a tense meeting at the office, my phone buzzed on the table, pulling me out of focus. A text appeared from my younger sister. Send me $2,800 for prom. I froze, my jaw tightening. $2,800 for one dress and a single night out. My reply was short, earn it yourself. Moments later, my parents' response cut like a slap. Pay it, or you're out of this family. My chest pounded. For years, I had sent them money, always under the impression it was only for urgent needs. But this? A demand that I bankroll my sister's prom or be cast out, it was beyond belief. Rage burned through me, tangled with something worse. The gut-deep realization that maybe they've been taking me for granted all along. That night, after hours of pacing, replaying their words in my mind, I made a decision. I pulled out my phone and pressed, cancel, cancel, cancel. By the next morning at 8:30, my world had flipped upside down. And not long after, I uncovered a truth so shocking you won't believe it. If you've ever dealt with crushing family pressure, share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear how you handled it. And stay tuned, because more stories like mine are coming soon. To explain why that text hit me so hard, you need to understand my family. My life has always been self-made, no handouts, no shortcuts. Growing up, I knew early on that hard work was my only way forward. But my parents never saw things that way. Everything they had, every ounce of attention, went to my little sister, the golden child. She was born when I was 17, already juggling part-time jobs just to stay afloat while they showered her with everything she wanted. My mother called the shots, my father quietly followed along, and both lived well past their means. Designer clothes, extravagant birthday parties, weekend trips with friends, they gave her the world, even when their finances were crumbling. Their suburban home in Lincoln was constantly falling apart, always in need of repairs they couldn't afford. Meanwhile, I worked 2 jobs through college, determined to make it without relying on anyone. By 25, I landed my first marketing job. By 30, I was running campaigns for big clients and living comfortably independent. But to them, I was the safety net. 4 years ago, I opened a joint family account meant only for essentials, groceries, utilities, basic bills. I thought I was easing their burden. I was too busy to monitor it closely, assuming they'd handle it responsibly. But my sister grew up with a silver spoon. At 18, she's hooked on luxury, $500 dresses, $200 dinners, endless shopping. My parents fed that appetite, draining their finances just to keep her satisfied. Looking back, I should have noticed the signs. New jewelry on her wrist. My mom's vague stories about unexpected expenses, but I trusted them. That was my mistake. My entire life, I've been the one to clean up the messes, the dependable one. And yet, the moment I said no, suddenly I was the enemy. As a teenager, I remember asking for help and hearing my mother snap, "Figure it out, Bridget." But for my sister, they bent over backwards. I'll never forget her 10th birthday, a $2,000 princess party, while I worked weekends just to afford textbooks. My father once told me, "She's our second chance to get it right." It cut deep, but I stayed quiet and kept pushing forward. Over the years, her demands only grew louder. New phones, concert tickets, shopping trips. My parents never blinked, even when the bank account was empty. I believed that family account was helping them survive, but all along, it was fueling her lifestyle. Then came that day. I was deep into work when my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. My sister's text flashed across the screen. "I need $2,800 for prom. Send it now." My blood boiled. $2,800 for one dance, a dress she'd never wear again, a limo to parade in. My hands shook with anger as I typed back, "No. Get a job. Earn it yourself." I hit send, bracing for sulking or maybe a tantrum. Instead, my phone rang instantly. Her voice screeched through the line, sharp with entitlement. "You're so selfish, Bridget. It's just prom. Why can't you help me? I gripped the phone tighter, forcing calm into my voice. You're 18. Most kids work part-time for prom. You can too. She scoffed, her tone venomous. You don't understand. I deserve this. And then she hung up. Deserve it? Since when was my money hers by right? I tried to push it aside and refocus, but her words looped in my head. For years, I'd been proving I could stand on my own, while she got everything without lifting a finger. I remembered being 16, begging for $50 for a school trip. My mom's reply, we can't afford it. Yeah, my sister later got $200 for concert tickets without question. By midday, her voice came again, this time in a voicemail she didn't mean to leave. Mom, Dad, Bridget's being impossible. Tell her to pay. I froze, picturing her at home, whining like always. Minutes later, my mother's text came through. Pay for your sister's prom or don't bother calling yourself part of this family. My father's followed, cold as ice. Do the right thing, Bridget. My hands trembled. The right thing? After years of sending thousands for their mortgage, emergencies, bills, and now over a prom dress, they were ready to cut me off? My chest burned with anger and betrayal. This wasn't just about prom. Something was wrong, and I could feel it. I called my sister back, my voice steady despite the fury beneath it. Why is this such a big deal? Ask Mom and Dad, she snapped back. They said you'd cover it. It's my right. Her right. I almost laughed at how ridiculous that sounded. You don't have a right to my money, I said flatly. Grow up, she shouted. You're ruining everything. Then she hung up. I sat there, heart pounding, replaying every conversation, every vague excuse my mother had given whenever I sent money. We're struggling, Bridget, she'd say, her voice always too smooth, too rehearsed. My father's rare calls all ended the same way. Can you help us out? I'd never questioned it. Too busy with work, too trusting of my family. By the afternoon, I was pacing my office, ignoring emails, my thoughts spinning. My sister's sense of entitlement wasn't new, but this demand felt different, bolder, almost orchestrated. I opened my banking app, scrolling through years of transfers to that family account. 1,000 cent, no questions asked, $1, $500 here, $800 there, always with the promise it was for essentials. My mother's excuses echoed in my head. The car broke down a rough month. I'd believed them. I thought I was helping. Now, their threats felt like lines from a script they'd practiced one too many times. I texted my mother. Why is prom worth destroying me? No reply. I tried my father. Explain this, Dad. Silence. Their refusal to respond only tightened the knot in my chest. This wasn't just about money. They were using family as a weapon to bully me. I thought about the joint account I'd set up to help them. I hadn't checked it in years, too caught up in deadlines and meetings. What had they been doing with it? My sister's tantrum, my parents' quick threats. This wasn't about a dress. It was bigger, and I was done playing their game. Later that Tuesday, an unusual notification appeared in my inbox. An email from the bank managing our joint family account. The subject line screamed urgency. Large transaction alert. My stomach dropped as I opened it. A $5,000 transfer had gone out that morning, without my approval. I stared at the screen, my pulse hammering. That account was meant for their bills, not mysterious withdrawals. My parents' demands for prom money flashed in my mind. This couldn't be a coincidence. I called my sister immediately, hoping for answers. What's going on with the family account? I asked, keeping my voice steady. Her reply was sharp and evasive. I don't know. Ask Mom and Dad. Why are you always so suspicious? $5,000 just disappeared, I pressed. Do you know anything about it? She laughed, a cold, dismissive sound. You're overreacting. It's probably nothing. Then she hung up, leaving me furious. Her dodging only deepened my suspicion. She wasn't clueless. She was hiding something. I couldn't sit still. I needed answers, and I knew my family wouldn't give them. That's when I reached out to Ellen Ward, my friend and a lawyer down the hall at my marketing firm. I texted, "Can we talk? It's urgent." She replied within minutes, suggesting we meet at her office that evening. By 6:30 p.m., I was sitting across from Ellen, her desk stacked with legal files. I explained the bank alert, my sister's deflection, my parents' threats. Something's wrong with the family account, I said, frustration tightening my voice. I need to know what they're doing with it. Ellen nodded, her expression calm but focused. Let's start by pulling the account records, she said, opening her laptop. Using the credentials I provided, she logged in quickly. Within minutes, she found a trail of transactions I hadn't seen in years. There are multiple large withdrawals, she said, brow furrowing. Some to creditors, others to retail accounts. I leaned forward, stomach twisting. Creditors? Retail? What kind of retail? Ellen scrolled further. High-end stores, boutiques, jewelry, even a travel agency. My mind raced. This wasn't groceries or utility bills. Ellen kept digging, pulling up statements from the past year. It looks like your parents have been using the account to pay off debts, she said. Credit cards, a car loan, even a second mortgage. A wave of betrayal hit me. A second mortgage, they'd never mentioned that. I remembered their calls, always framed as emergencies. I'd sent money without hesitation, thinking I was keeping them afloat. Now the truth stared back at me. They'd been draining the account to support their lifestyle. Ellen pointed to another pattern. These are smaller but consistent, she said. Payments to clothing stores, restaurants, even a prom planner. A prom planner? My sister's $2,800 demand flashed through my mind. They've been funding her spending, I whispered. Ellen nodded. It appears your parents have been using your money to cover their debts and give your sister whatever she wants. I sat back stunned. All those years, I thought I was helping with necessities. Instead, I'd been financing their lies. I left Ellen's office with a hollow feeling. My parents weren't just pushing me for prom money. They were hiding a pattern of deception. I needed more proof. But one thing was clear. I couldn't let this continue. The next day, I returned to Ellen's office. The room was dimly lit, her desk piled high with files, but her gaze was razor sharp. She slid a stack of documents toward me, her expression grim. These are the bank records, she said. You're not going to like this. My stomach nodded as I scanned the first page. Over 4 years, $100,000 had been withdrawn from the joint family account, my money siphoned off without a word. A stab of betrayal hit me. I trusted them, believing I was helping with their struggles. Instead, they've been bleeding me dry. Ellen pointed to the transaction logs. Your parents made dozens of large transfers, she said. Some to credit card companies, others to a car loan. Even that second mortgage they never mentioned. My throat tightened. A second mortgage. They'd always said the house was nearly paid off. Then she showed me another section. Smaller withdrawals, but constant, to boutiques, jewelry stores, and a travel agency for my sister's trips. Prom expenses, too, Ellen added, circling a $3,000 payment to a high-end event planner. My sister's $2,800 demand suddenly made sense. She'd been raised to treat my money as her own. I leaned back, my mind reeling. Every call from my mother, every plea for a little help flashed before me. I'd sent thousands, believing it was for survival, groceries, utilities, necessities. Now the truth was undeniable. They'd used me to fund their debts and my sister's lavish lifestyle. How could they do this? I whispered, more to myself than to Ellen. She shook her head slowly. People can justify anything when they're desperate. Her words cut deep, but they were true. And I knew what I had to do. The next morning, Wednesday, I called the bank and asked them to close the joint account. 10 minutes on the phone, but every second felt like snapping another chain that had tied me to them. For years, I had carried their problems as if they were my own. Not anymore. Once the account was locked, I sat at my desk and wrote a short, cold email to my parents and sister. The joint account is closed. I know about the $100,000. There will be no more money. My hands were steady as I pressed send, though my chest felt unbearably heavy. This wasn't just about finances, it was about trust, and they had destroyed it. Hours later, my phone lit up nonstop. My sister called first, her voice trembling between fury and panic. You can't do this, she screamed. We need that account. I forced myself to stay calm, though my heart was racing. Need it for what? More designer dresses. I asked. She sputtered, then yelled, "You're tearing this family apart," before slamming the phone down. Next came my mother's wall of texts, accusing me, shaming me. How dare you accuse us? That money was for survival. Survival, I thought bitterly, on luxury vacations and prom planners. My father's message was short but just as desperate. "Bridget, think about what you're doing to us." I didn't answer. Their excuses were empty. Later, I called Ellen. "They're panicking," I said, my voice shaking with both anger and relief. She wasn't surprised. "Of course they are. Their safety net is gone. You did the right thing." I wasn't sure. Closing that account gave me freedom. But it also felt like cutting myself away from the only family I'd tried so hard to hold together. Their betrayal had changed everything, and the road ahead was uncertain. A week later, I drove to my parents' house in suburban Lincoln, gripping the steering wheel tightly, a folder of bank records sitting beside me. The weight of what I was about to do pressed against my chest. Ellen's findings replayed in my head. $100,000 drained from the account in 4 years, $500,000 in total debts. Today, I would lay it all out. No more lies. The air inside their living room was thick with tension. My mother glared at me from the couch. My father stood by the window, arms crossed, face unreadable. My sister slouched in an armchair, glued to her phone, avoiding eye contact. I didn't waste time. "I know everything," I said, dropping the folder onto the coffee table. "The account I opened to help you gone. You've taken $100,000 and you're buried under $500,000 in debt." I spread the papers across the table, statements, transactions, credit card bills, a hidden car loan, even a second mortgage. Worst of all, thousands funneled into my sister's designer clothes and trips. My mother's face twisted, not with guilt but with indignation. "How dare you dig into our private matters? This is family." My anger flared. "Family? I gave you everything and you lied. You told me it was for bills, for survival. Instead, you paid for her lifestyle." I pointed at my sister, who still refused to look at me. My father stepped forward, voice sharp. "You don't understand, Bridget. The debts kept piling up. You were supposed to help us." I stared at him, stunned. "Supposed to help? I sent you thousands every year, and you wasted it on luxuries you couldn't afford." Tears streamed down my mother's face. "You're so selfish. We did this for her, for your sister's future." I turned to my sister, expecting some sign of guilt, maybe an apology. She gave me nothing. That silence cut deeper than their shouting. She wasn't just complicit. She believed she deserved it all. My father's voice rose, eyes blazing. "You can't walk away from us. We're your family. You owe us, you owe them." I felt the heat of fury burn through me. "I don't owe you anything," I snapped. "The account is closed. No more money. You're on your own." My mother gasped like I'd stabbed her. "You're abandoning us," she cried. My sister finally looked up, panic flickering in her eyes, but she stayed silent. "You abandoned me first," I said firmly. "You used my trust. You drained my savings for years." The room exploded. My mother screamed about loyalty. My father accused me of betrayal. My sister stayed slouched, letting them fight for her. I gathered the documents, hands trembling with rage and release. "I'm done," I said, heading for the door. Their voices followed me, loud with anger and desperation, but I didn't look back. They'd had their chance. All they gave me was blame. When I got home, I made my final choice. Closing the joint account wasn't enough. I blocked my parents' numbers, filtered their emails to spam, and deleted my sister's contact. Each step felt like cutting another cord I had tied around myself for years. It hurt, but it also gave me strength. I was no longer their financial lifeline. Months later, a distant cousin updated me. My parents had declared bankruptcy. The $500,000 in debt, the second mortgage, the loans. It had all come crashing down. Their Lincoln home, the one they swore was nearly paid off, was gone. I imagined the movers hauling out furniture, my mother crying, my father hollow-eyed. Part of me ached for them, but another part felt nothing. They had built this collapse themselves, using my money only to delay it. My sister, too, had been forced into reality. No more endless handouts. The cousin mentioned she'd picked up a part-time job at a clothing store, folding shirts, ringing up customers. The girl who once demanded $800 prom dresses was now learning the price of hard work. I didn't feel victorious, just relieved. Maybe someday she'd understand what I had been trying to show her. As for me, I found peace. No more constant calls. No more guilt trips. No more endless demands. I focused on my own life, my career, and rebuilding the savings they'd drained. I started therapy, peeling back years of manipulation, repairing the confidence they had chipped away. Setting boundaries wasn't easy. It meant accepting they would never change, never see me as anything but a bank account. But it also meant freedom. Saying no wasn't selfish, it was survival. Looking back, I realized something important. Family doesn't equal obligation. Love should never come with a price tag. I had spent years believing their problems were mine to fix. I was wrong. Walking away saved me. And if you're listening to this, stuck in the same cycle, hear me clearly. You don't owe anyone your security. Protect yourself first. That's not selfish, it's survival. Thank you for listening to my story. Sharing it has been painful, but healing. I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever had to set boundaries with your family? Share your experience in the comments. And if this story resonated with you, hit that subscribe button for more real stories like this. Your support truly means everything.